Hi, my name is Ink and my favourite colour is blue. I have 3 children and 5 grandchildren. Okay, I know that you know that bit's not true, but for now I need you to believe that I am 87. It's quiet. My knees and knuckles are aching, blood rushing, gushing around my veins which are now 66 years older, but blue is still my favourite colour. Maybe when I sit here imagining me, I should also be picturing the world that surrounds me, but I skipped science at school and I don't really understand every single statistic, equation, number and rule. For me, it's enough to place my trust in 97% of climate scientists. So I don't know what it looks like, but what I would like to know is how I'll end the phrase I hear older people say. What will I say if I'm lucky enough to make it to 87? What comes after back in my day? Because every back in my day was once the present. Right now, today, we are building the future. We are literally choosing the weather. Okay, you're right, not 100% really, but you get the picture. I am a white, queer, trans, disabled creator, storyteller, activist, theatre, troublemaker. I use words and movement, music and images to take deliberate action to build tomorrow through the stories we tell ourselves today. I've had the privilege of being part of campaigns for workers' rights, disability justice and against inhumane farming practice, but the running thread for the past 15 years has been the climate. Although that's small change in the scale of this crisis. In April 1896, Swedish chemist Svante Arrhenius published a paper on the influence of carbonic acid in the air upon the temperature of the ground, calculating by hand the effect of carbonic acid, now known as carbon dioxide, on the atmosphere. The oil company Exxon has had research showing that the climate crisis is fueled by human activity and if left unchecked will be catastrophic since the 1970s. This November, the world's politicians will gather in Glasgow for COP26, the 26th Global Conference of Politicians and Lobbyists. Apparently, this time they will solve the crisis, even though nothing has changed since the last time. Forgive me if I seem disenchanted with the besooted. If the climate crisis was purely a crisis of numbers and science, well then the climate crisis would have been a climate blip, solved long before I was born. But it wasn't. So it's here. It's now. It both has no deadline and is a constant deadline. Every day is a deadline for another person, piece of land, plant, animal or creature of the sea, and if we don't stop photocopying yesterday in place of today, our tomorrow will be nothing more than an error code. We are way past the point of increased light switch flicking and round the edges fiddling. The change that is needed is drastic and on a scale that is rather incomprehensible, but it either comes from us or it won't come at all. Last month I started in my role as Artist for Change Climate Crisis at Eden Court, working to place the climate crisis on the agenda in a meaningful way and facilitate the voices of our community within this global emergency. So far we've started the planning, laying the foundations for the next year of activity. There's a lot to lock down and a lot of uncertainty, but there's one thing I've never been more sure of. We write the world when we share stories, and when we start to breathe them, we make it true. We aren't fixing this and then reverting back to normal. We're talking about forever. We have to sprint. We have to sprint the world's longest possible marathon, because it will never be over. At least not in our lifetimes, and maybe that's intimidating, terrifying. But how can we use art to make that enough okay?